Hare Krishna. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Krishna Lounge. Before we start our little dialogue or discussion, I'll just offer respects to my spiritual teachers. Om Jnana Tividandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Viditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him. So have you ever wondered what you're doing in a particular place or in a particular relationship? Or, yeah, I guess that about covers it, right? Places and relationships. I was just thinking to myself when I was finishing the chanting, I was thinking, what am I doing here? And then I was thinking that maybe some of you are also wondering, what am I doing here? But practically, wherever we find ourselves, whatever relationship, where a particular place, practically we're all there for the same reasons. And a primary reason is, to feel some pleasure or happiness. So anyways, I was, last year, I was traveling, mostly on the west coast of California. I was also going to a few other states. Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, and other places. So one of those places, we have temples. We're in a temple right now. Our Krishna Lounge is, according to government officials, it's on kind of a small space, so therefore we're here. But we have many temples all over around America, so I was visiting some of those temples. And we have a temple in Honolulu. So we got that many years ago, probably 70s. 1972 or something like that. So anyways, my first time visiting there. And I was kind of visiting to assess the situation, what's going on at the temple, how they can improve, and so on. And people kind of knew that. The people who were there knew that. So that's the tough part, right? That they know that you're there for that reason. Because if they didn't know, it'd be much easier just to stay there, right, peacefully. But anyways, they knew. So I was having a number of conversations with different people, different local temple goers, and a lot of it was dealing with different problems over the years that they've had, which we won't go into all the details, not necessary. But anyways, I met one person. His name's Daiva, which means divine. It's a word found in the Bhagavad Gita, the main spiritual text from India. So Daiva, I met him, and we spoke for about 3 hours. And mostly I was listening, because he was, telling me a lot, the history and so on. So I was mostly listening. But he has a lot of experience with that temple. He's been around that temple for 40, 50 years, something like that. So he had a lot to say. So anyways, when we were meeting, he's a very charismatic, energetic, colorful person. Likes to wear different colors. That's where I got that garland. Rohini Devi Dasa, I gave you that garland. Remember? Remember I gave you that garland? You're supposed to say yes. Oh, you mean purple? Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, so I got it from him. Okay. Anyways, so while we were talking, he showed me his shirt. And on his shirt, it had the word visionary on it. So then he told me, he said, I wore this because I came to see you. And he went on to explain that he sees himself as a visionary. And he was also explaining how the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, Swami Prabhupada, there's a statue of him here, you probably saw. He was saying how he was also a visionary. Now, if we think about the word visionary, what comes to our minds? Anything come to our minds? Anybody want to say what comes to their minds? Or who comes to their minds? Yes?
Somebody that sees the future and wants to see it realized.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Very good definition. So somebody who sees the future and wants to see it realized. So there have been many visionaries throughout time, and many leaders of movements throughout time. For example, you had the nonviolent movement of Mahatma Gandhi, which his idea was nonviolence. And specifically, he wanted to have a society that was agrarian-based. No big factories and all this stuff. So that was his movement. I mean, of course, there's a lot more to it, but that was one of the principles. So when he left, his followers, they changed everything. They industrialized everything. They just changed everything. So his movement, you could say, was lost, practically. But he had a vision, whether it's Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King or whoever it may be, they have a vision. And they have, you could say, like a mission statement, right? This is the mission of my life. And they get other people on board. So it's an interesting concept, because if we look at ourselves, means everybody here sitting in this room, if we look at ourselves, what is our mission statement, or what is our vision? It's an interesting question. And if you haven't figured it out, it's a good thing to figure out. So anyways, this Swami Prabhupada, he had a vision, and specifically his vision was to come to America. Not to do what other people do when they come to America. Means he's not just coming to enjoy his, materialistic senses or whatever, hedonistic enjoyment, but he was coming to help people. Where there's a lot of people who come to America or try to come to America, and it's very difficult, actually. I don't know. I think most of you, maybe, were born in America. I was. But it's a very, if anybody could choose, hey, which passport do you want? Right? Take a pick. You could pick any passport you want. Most people, they pick American passport. And the reason being is because it gives so much freedom to travel. I spoke with one girl I was going to Istanbul, Turkey, and there was one girl standing behind me in the line, and we started speaking, and she was asking about my clothing, and I was a monk and this and that. So we started speaking, and she was saying how she's from Croatia, Europe. And she was saying how it was so difficult for her to get into America, like extremely difficult. She had to jump through all these hoops, and finally she got to America after multiple tries. I have some friends in Mauritius, small island off of Africa. And there's a big group of them coming to Houston. We're having a big celebration there. Some of them got to go, and some of them didn't. They were locked in Mauritius. Of course, this was before all of this, COVID travel lockdowns we're talking about. So Mauritius, hard to get to America. Croatia, hard to get to America. When I was in Istanbul, Turkey, I spoke with someone from Iran, and Istanbul, Turkey, and Hungary, it's like, 14-hour drive, something like that. But this person from Iran was saying that it was he couldn't go to Hungary. He just couldn't get in. Anyways, kind of but anyways, so this Swami Prabhupada, he wanted to come to America, and he was also having a hard time getting in. But eventually, it worked, and he got passage on a steamship, cargo ship, not a cruise ship, at the age of 70, and he had 2 heart attacks on the way, so it means his health wasn't so great. And he also hardly had any money. I mean, no substantial money. I mean, it was really like in no context, really. So anyways, he wanted to start a movement. And while he landed, eventually he Boston, then New York. And while he was in New York, he was sitting at a bench in New York, on a bench in New York. And there was this train conductor right next to him. And this Swami Prabhupada said that to the train conductor, yes, I have temples all over the world. I have students all over the world. I have thousands of spiritual books translated and distributed all over the world. So guess how much he had at that time? Means he didn't have it wasn't realized at that time. He didn't have any temples or books or students from an external point of vision. But he had that vision. And then he started in New York chanting Hare Krishna like we just did if you go to Manhattan. Anyone's been to Manhattan before? All right, good. Congratulations. I have too. A lot of people, right? When you get back to San Diego, you go, where are all the people? Pacific Beach. So if you go to Manhattan, or the next time you go to Manhattan, we have a multi-story building there. Go figure, right? A bunch of buildings in New York. But there's a restaurant, temple, there's some living quarters, on and on and on. It's called the Bhakti Center. And then just a few blocks away on 26 Second Avenue, you have a storefront called Matchless Gifts. So that was Swami Prabhupada's first spot in a storefront, Matchless Gifts. So while he was there, they would go to Tompkins Square Park, and they would chant Hare Krishna, like we were just chanting under a tree, a particular tree there. And actually the mayor or whoever, they put a plaque there. The Hare Krishna movement started here under this tree. So you could visit if you like when you go. So he had a vision, and then from there he went to San Francisco to Canada, Canada to London, London to different places in America, America to India, India to Australia, Australia, and on and on and on. And it spread throughout the whole world in a very quick time, 12 years, 108 temples. It's a lot of temples. It's hard to open one. 108 temples, 5,000 students, formal students, and restaurants and farms and so on. And now it's also increased to 600 temples or whatever it is within the last 50 years. So he had a vision, and he strived to fulfill it, and it was fulfilled. So yeah, you could say, what is our vision, and what are we trying to what are we trying to gain? What are we trying to attain? Because there's a difference between dreaming and then being a visionary. Means that if somebody's dreaming, it doesn't. A lot of the times, it doesn't go past that, right? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and they're just laying on their couch or laying in their bed. So we could dream, you could say, night dream, daydream. We could have so many visions, but we also want to see them realized. But before we start to make big plans, I suspect we've already made some plans, and big plans, small plans, but before we, are completely convinced of a particular plan or a particular vision, it makes sense to study other ones. Not just, okay, hey, well, everybody seems like they're going this direction, so let me go that direction. It makes sense to study other ones. Like I was with a friend, Mogalila, anyways. So we were together and we were crossing the border from Tijuana to San Diego. We have a little temple down there as well. But a security guard was there, 2 of them, a girl and a guy. And the guy said, hey, what are you guys about? And if you could tell me one thing, what would you tell me? So then I pointed to Mogalila, I said, oh, he'll tell you something. So then a Mogalila said, if I could tell you one thing, I'll tell you this right now. He said, you're not that body. You're a spirit soul. You're the spirit within, you're not the physical body. And the guy said, hey, that's pretty good. He said, I'm going to tell myself that every day, actually, when I look in the mirror. Hey, I'm not the body, And actually, it actually is a great relief, because to realize that we're not the body is wonderful, because all different types of fear go away. Like our teacher one time was asked, Swami Prabhupada, he was asked, oh, what do you feel when you chant Hare Krishna? And he said, very quickly, he said, I feel fearless. Now this particular fearlessness, it's not like the silly fearlessness that somebody's on the Grand Canyon and on a windy day standing very close to the edge of the whatever canyon, and they have their phone and they're snapping pictures on a windy day. It's not that type of, hey, I'm fearless, But it's a fearlessness that is authentic. It's real. So to realize that we're not our body, it's a platform of fearlessness. And also it's the platform of anxiety-less. Anyways, so while I was talking to this border patrol people, the guy turned to the girl and he said, hey, because it was kind of cold that night, he said, hey, you're not the body, so you shouldn't be cold. She said, oh yeah, good point. Of course they were laughing, but so if we understand that we're not our body, and actually it makes a lot of sense, because what is the body? I mean, of course it's maybe huh?
It's a pile of food.
All right, pretty interesting answer. Never heard that one before. Thank you. If we analyze the body, it's, maybe, could say nicely packaged, I guess, if you want to say that. Of course, it's kind of a weird way to think of it, but if you just scratch the surface a little bit, or a lot, you'll see what's in it, or we'll see what's in it. And it's just, blood and bones and all types of stuff like that. So in other words, that's not us. Just like we say, okay, my hand, right? Or you say my nose, or you say my ear, or you say my foot. And you don't say I hand, right? Or I nose, or I foot. In other words, we're different. We're the observer. Just like you say, this is my microphone. There's something different from me. So similarly, we're different from the body. Now that changes our particular vision. It means that by nature, we're spiritual beings, and by nature, our happiness lies in spirituality. Um, and that doesn't mean that we like live in a cave in the Himalayas or in Pacific Beach. We live in a man cave in Pacific Beach or a woman cave or whatever cave, I don't know. Doesn't mean that we have to like cloister off in a cave or whatever. But we could have a very beautiful life, a life full of friendship and love and happiness and activity. It's not, spiritual life doesn't mean we become like a stone, desireless. But it means that our desires are actually becoming more spiritual by nature. Just like I was bringing up the other day at our Sunday gatherings here, I was explaining how this point of understanding we're not our body, it actually solves a lot of problems. I just mentioned a few, but continuing. Racism, huge problem. Like a humongous problem worldwide. Not just California, not just Southern California, not just America. Wherever you go in the world, racism is huge. In other words, people hate each other on the basis of the color of their skin. Or what to speak of religious discrimination. Hey, you're a this, I'm a that. Let's fight about it. It's huge, big problem. So if we realize that we're not our body, then we realize that, hey, why should I hate this person? They have a different color skin or whatever. So what? What does it matter? It's like me hating this man on the computer because he's wearing orange. I hate you because you wear orange. That doesn't make any sense. So similarly, to hate someone on the basis of the color of their skin doesn't make any sense because the body's just like clothes, to the soul. So that's out, racism. And then also this hating people on the basis of the particular religion and so on. So it does solve a lot of problems. So to live a spiritual life, one very powerful way to do that is to meditate. Like I have these beads here. I chant on them every day. Hare Krishna, the mantra here. And that's a very powerful way to completely transcend. To be above the platform of fearfulness, anxiety, depression, being whipped around by the mind in so many different ways, by our conditioning. So to transcend that, therefore chanting of Hare Krishna. Also the singing. So that's the main way. And one thing is, like my friend was telling me, he's been a chanter for many years. So he first went to the LA temple. And in the LA temple, they told him, they said, he would go there to argue with them every Sunday. He'd say, hey, you guys are wrong, and this is why you're wrong. And he would bring different scriptural references, like the Bible, and say, hey, you guys are wrong. And he would argue every Sunday. So then he kept on doing that. And then at one particular point, they said, hey, man, we tried everything with you. We tried being nice. We tried being sharp, kind of sharp words. We've tried everything with you. And it doesn't seem like you're getting what we're saying. So then they beat him up and, threw him out on the street. I'm just joking. Just joking. Monks don't do that, usually. So then what they did is they said, well, now that we tried everything, you have to try it for yourself. You have to try it for yourself. And he said, okay, sure. That's a good idea. I'll try it for myself. I'll see if this is authentic or I'll see if this is bogus. So he did that. And now he's been around for, 40 years or something like that. Kanai. He's around here He's around here somewhere. Those of you who know him. So the best way to figure something out, whatever it be, is to investigate and to try things out and to see what works. And I've been doing this for 15 years, living in this temple, and so I've been doing it for 16 years, but whether 15, 16, same difference, right? But it's not that I came from India, you know. I grew up here in San Diego. So in other words, I have full experience of both worlds. It's not that I'm just I popped out of my mother's womb and I started chanting Hare Krishna. And I was a spiritual guy, right? Right when instead of crying, I was chanting, right? I wasn't doing that. Nor was I doing that when I was 5 or 10 or 15. When I was 16, I started getting into 17, but for many years, I didn't. And in many ways, yeah, of course, for anyone to have absolute full experience, but for the most part, I have full experience of both worlds. Actually, I think it's now been almost half my lifespan. So 17, I came out almost, and I'm 33, so soon it will be half in the material and half in the spiritual. So yeah, I just encourage everybody to just do a little investigation. It doesn't hurt. And if you don't like it, you could just stop. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments? Or anything you'd like to say regarding any of this or anything else? You have something? You have something? You? No? Okay. I thought I saw your hand.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So when one should, learn that one should get into spiritual things, because many times people, they say, I'm not ready. It's like internally, they feel, okay, maybe I'm not ready for it. So, any tips for that?
Well, then you have to analyze what do they mean by that? They're not ready. What does that mean? Because there's always some deeper reasons why people do certain things and people don't do certain things. So what would be some of the reasons why someone would say they're not ready? What do you think? Any ideas?
Times they don't say any reason. It's just, I mean,
they don't say any reason.
Yeah, they don't know, right?
Okay. Well, I think that there's one Sanskrit word. I'm forgetting it. So what use is it for me to say that there's one Sanskrit word if I'm forgetting it? But so I can't tell you. But I'll tell you the English. We're speaking English anyways, right? But our teacher translated it as people not having a moment for reflection, which is an interesting concept because a lot of the times different societies around the world, human societies, they just want people to stay busy, working, busy going to school, busy enjoying themselves in different ways, right? Entertainment, so on. They used to do this in what do you call them, the times where there's gladiators and stuff, give them a bunch of wine and bread, and they'll be good citizens, Uh-oh. So, So in other words, you distract the mass of people, and then they won't create any problems. They won't riot as much. They won't rebel against the government as much, right? They'll be good boys and girls and whatever. So if we want a revolution within ourselves for the good, then we have to give ourselves a little time to reflect. Means reflect on our life. What am I doing with my life? And to honestly analyze, when we lay there at night, when we're about to go to sleep. Am I satisfied with what I'm doing in my life? Am I happy? Some people say yes. All right, cool. But you could always be happier. Even if someone was to say, hey, I'm laying on my bed at night, I'm living a good life, I'm a vegan, I practice a bunch of yoga, everything I eat is organic, I'm a good student at UCSD or whatever, I have a nice relationship, right? Girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. I have a nice, whatever, on and on. In many ways it could be good. Not saying that it's absolutely bad or something, but even despite all that, we may be riding some good waves. But there's always higher levels of happiness, higher levels of satisfaction, higher levels of peace with oneself and others, higher levels of experience, and that's in the spiritual realm. So I would say that if someone says, I'm not ready, I would say that the people should analyze, think about it. And even then, I think they should just go for it. I'm not ready. So just like if you're about to jump off a cliff. Anybody's jumped off a cliff into water? All right. Yeah. We used to do that growing up. I jumped off a really high one time. I think it was like, 70 feet or something like that. It's like really high. But it took me a while. I was there for a long time. But eventually I jumped. So provided it's not suicidal, we should jump, right? Like one of Michael, he's not here now, so we'll talk about him. But Michael, maybe you know him anyways, but so he told me in Honolulu, there's a cliff overlooking the ocean. Go figure, right? Surrounded by water. Anyways, there's a cliff overlooking the ocean. Now, this cliff, people jump off of, and the waves, they go in and they go out, right? Yeah. So anyways, the thing is, these waves are so powerful that they'll just take anybody out if you don't jump at the right time. So people do that. They jump, and then really quickly they have to climb up the cliff, or else the waves will take them all the way out. There's sharks and no boats to save them, and you can't swim back. And he said there was all types of crosses and things where people, memorials and stuff. So anyways, he said, all right, I'll do it. So then he jumped, and his friends were supposed to tell him when to jump and when to come out. So he jumped. First of all, the wave came in, then he jumped, and then he was very happy. He said, oh yeah, I did it. And he was, yeah, great, and kind of clapping, and yeah. And the friends up there were saying, hey man, get out, get out. And he was, yeah, and then eventually he realized, okay, I got to get out of here. So then he climbed up the cliff, and then the waves, So he was telling me next time I go to Honolulu, I should do that. And I was saying, no, that's all right, I'll pass. I got other stuff to do. But provided we're not jumping in those types of waters, we have to jump so many times, metaphysically speaking, or we We have to take chances. Oh, I have to go to this college, go to that college. I'm going to have this boyfriend. I'm going to have that girlfriend. I'm going to move here. I'm going to move there. These are a bunch of jumps. So why not jump a little bit in the spiritual sense? So anyways, that's what I would say. So any last, yes, Austin.
How does one,
I could repeat it too.
I was just gonna ask, how does one like leave the man cave? How does one leave their comfort zone and stay happy, peaceful, and spiritually connected when the world outside is pretty chaotic? There's a lot of negativity, craziness.
Yeah, that's true. Let's look at the news. Well, it says that a spiritually realized person or advanced person, they're just like a lotus petal, or specifically a lotus flower. Now, if you look at a lotus flower, if you splash water on it, then it will pearl up and fall off. In other words, it's not affected by the water. It's drowned in the water. So similarly, a spiritual person is like transcendental, above the chaos of this world. And that doesn't mean you have to live in a temple or you have to do this, you have to do that. You could be very transcendental living outside a temple, more transcendental living inside a temple. But just like in order to be healthy, we need to have food intake every day. Healthy food is better, more nutritious. We become healthy. So similarly, we need some spiritual nutrition. Means we need some food for our soul. And that's the chanting of Hare Krishna or other spiritual processes. So if we do that on a daily basis, we won't be as affected. So it's like training. You train, you run, you lift weights, this and that before you go on a boxing match. You definitely want to train before you go on a boxing match. If you don't train before going on a boxing match, then so it's like that. The day battle, So, all right, I think that's about it. All right, one last.
All right. My question is kind of the opposite of the first guy's question.
Okay.
He said like some people aren't ready. I've been ready for like a few years now, but I have no idea like how to progress, I suppose.
Okay.
I've done meditations, mantras, but like I still can't seem to be at peace or just like even close to enlightenment. I feel clueless,
Well, that's a nice frame of mind to learn. If you go to a college and you go to the professor and you say, hey, fool, you don't know what you're talking about. I know everything. And, it's hard to learn like that. So to be in a humble frame of mind is good, like what you're expressing. Well, have you tried chanting Hare Krishna? Okay. So I would just continue trying that. And also maybe we have some books in the lobby. Get a book or two, and check them out. And we're here open like every day. Hare is the feminine energy. And Rama means reservoir of pleasure, like an ocean of happiness. And Krishna means one who's all attractive. So the name's, to absolute truth, calling out. Yeah. So the idea is if we chant these names, then we connect and we feel that happiness, that ocean of happiness. Actually, there's many different recommendations, but the main one is just to hear forget about everything else for the time being. It will be there when we stop chatting. And just hear, just listen. So,
Okay.
yes.
I just wanted to acknowledge you for just being so raw and vulnerable to a large audience and just saying it how it is. And I feel like when we do things like that, it's bold. For one, it's courageous, and people can relate. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We're embodying human experience, and it brings out my humanity. So when I heard that, I appreciated that. But I just wanted to say that discipline is everything, right? We have a spiritual practice, we have a spiritual focus, get in touch with some spiritual people, and progress will be there, even if it's incremental. So, you know, I feel like you have a good heart, and just keep following your intuition, and you'll be there. You'll get there. Yeah. You have a question?
It's kind of a comment maybe on what Soth was saying of like, I feel like it's like always having this like deep sense of detachment in a way, like, and then to the core of it, just like light and God from within. Like, it's like this world is like, humanity is like so like the potential, and it's like such like a like head down. And then as you get more spiritual or aware, it's like if I can feel like kind of like at like such like my heart hurts, and then I just feel like we just live our life as our message, whether it like kicks off or not. But that's like, I feel like something I wanted to say.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So I think we're going to move on to the next part.